Beat the heat or get yourself in the water for a little wade time on the coast.
But no matter where you are, the one thing is for sure, you're going to be reeling them in. You're watching the Texas Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Hello, Texas, and welcome back to another hot week of fishing. As you can see, I have my left-hand man back, Captain Rick Murphy, who was on a little hiatus. Missed you, Rick. Tell us what adventures you've been having.
So I actually went to the Emerald Coast of Florida, which is not very far from Texas, as you know, and I'm following the migration of tarpon that are coming from Central Florida up the Gulf Coast, and before you guys know it, in another 2-3 weeks, they're going to be showing up in Middle Coast of Texas.
Got that tarpon bite on. All right, well, today we have our captain from the Lower Coast region with us, Captain Chad Kinney, hanging over there with Dave Farrell at the Workbench. Hello, gentlemen.
How you doing?
Good. How y'all doing?
Good. We're happy to have you, Chad.
Good.
Right here on set with us. All right, well, we're off to a great start in the Star Tri-Middle Fresh region this week with some big catches on Toledo Bend, Sam Rayburn, Richland Chambers, Lake Palestine, Granbury, Whitney, and Livingston. You're giving us plenty of options this week, Matt, so let's get to it.
All right, Brie. Yeah, we're going to run the gamut this week. We're going to talk about a little bit of everything. And we're going to start it off with my always favorite, the largemouth bass, and kicking it off with my home water, Toledo Bend. You know, Toledo Bend has really showed off lately. It's been a great year here for the bass, especially on the size. We've been catching a lot of big ones. And it really showed off this past weekend with some impressive tournament weights. We had some 30-pound bags weighed in an event, and it took a 2-day total of 57 pounds to win that event. Man, I tell you what, for during the daytime in July, that is really impressive. I was really pleased to see that. The lake level is coming down steadily now, and that's pulling those fish out, positioning them just like we like those big fish to set up for that offshore bite. The water level is about 1.25 feet below full now, and the water temperature is in the upper 80s, kind of holding steady there. There are two patterns that are really going strong right now. One is fishing the grass, and that's pretty much a dawn and dusk deal. It's, you know, catching them on those points of grass, fishing over the top of it early and late. Then the other pattern is going to be out deep, where those fish are setting up on the hard spots in the timber in about 15 to 30 feet of water. And that's where most of these bigger fish are coming from. Worms like that 11-inch bass assassin are great for that pattern. And it's just your typical summertime stuff. The colors like red bug, June bug, or plum apple are all good. And then crankbaits are also effective for that pattern. And if you kind of want to feel out the fish. If they're in a chasing mood, you're going to want to break out that crankbait. And you'll kind of see them streaking through the shad and things like that if they're wanting that crankbait usually. And you're going to want to pick one that's going to deflect off of whatever cover that you're fishing, be it the grass or the timber or just some rough bottom. So keep that in mind. Now moving over to Richland Chambers, Mr. Thurman Selman there with Bass Specialty Guide Service is always keeping us in the loop on Chambers. He says that the lake there is 3 inches below full now, so still pretty high water there, and the temperature has come on up to the upper 80s now. He says the bite's fair off the point, the creek, channel bends, and the humps, where there's also some good cover. So look for that brush and grass around those areas. And the Bass Assassin soft plastics like that tap-out worm are going to be the ticket for that bite. Now I'm going to change species over to the crappie and talk about Rayburn and Palestine for a minute. So Sam Rayburn, the fish are really stacking up over there right now. I've been hearing lots of great reports. They're just hammering on the crappie. They've been catching them on brush, timber, and the bridge pilings in about 15 to 30 feet of water. Jigs and minnows are both effective for catching them right now. You kind of pick your poison and just go catch them at Rayburn right now. They're really tearing them up. Then over at Lake Palestine, it's also pumping out the crappie. They're catching them really good there in about 15 to 25 feet of water on the kind of along the channel edges in that timber that's there along that river. Now going to the stripers and the white bass. Going to lump them together here. Lake Granbury first. It's still pumping them out heavy. Lots of good reports there. The lake's almost a foot below pool, and they're catching them on the lower end of the lake right now. It sounds like live bait has been the most productive, and it's an early morning and late evening again. Pretty much all the bites are kind of like that right now. Not much happening in that heat of the day. Lake Whitney, basically the same story as Granbury. They're catching the stripers there on the lower end of the lake. Once again, mostly on live bait, early in the morning and late in the evening. Now, if you're in it for the white bass, Lake Livingston is the hot spot to be. I'm hearing that the white bass are just absolutely on fire at Livingston right now. They're catching them like crazy, and they're being caught from the mid-lake area down to the dam on the humps and the points and off the flats there. Jigging spoons right off the bottom seems to be the ticket right now. They're not catching not getting a lot of schooling activity up on the surface, but they're catching them really good, jigging those spoons off the bottom. So try that. And then last, but certainly not least, the good old-fashioned catfish, everybody's favorite table fare. You know, Toledo Bend, absolutely full of catfish. It's amazing how many catfish are in this lake. It's really unbelievable. There are so many fish in some of these schools right now, it's just mind-blowing. We've been seeing them really, really stacked up this year, and they've been heavily congregated on the points and the channel swing in about 15 to 30 feet of water. And you're going to want to look for the large concentrations of shad. They're going to be around that bait, and you can send a live minnow down there. If you want to cast net from shad, send a shad down there, and they'll eat them up. Y'all have fun out there this weekend.
All right, bud. Thank you so much for starting us off, Matt. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine Systems hotspots from the Middle Fresh region. Our man Matt says the largemouth bass are biting around the grass in the deep cover in Toledo Bend and Richland Chambers. The crappie are hot on Sam Rayburn and Lake Palestine using jigs and minnows. And if you want stripers and white bass, look on Lake Granbury, Whitney, and Livingston are the place to be. And if you're looking for catfish, they are biting like crazy in Toledo Bend.
My son calls every fish a shashish.
A shashish?
I want to reel a shashish. That's just what he calls it.
What does that mean?
I want to reel a catfish. You don't speak 2-year-old? What's wrong with you?
I don't.
All right, the best way to beat the heat in the Fish Bites Middle Coast region is not to be on the water, but in the water. Right, Bink?
That's right. It's the middle of July. We deal with winds every direction. We love anything from the southeast, but July it normally gives us plenty of days of the dreaded southwest. It's a hot, tide-dropping breeze, but we adjust. We work the guts and the shell. Those trout fall off the shoreline to the deeper, cooler water. We love to wade this time of year. Been doing it all week. It's been good on topwaters, bass assassin, plum, chartreuse bass assassin, chicken on chain bass assassin, and mirror soft dines have been our go-to baits. In Rockport, Corky's continue to coax good trout on the shorelines around Mud Island and Trailer Island. The incoming tide's been good around Super Flats and around Port Aransas as well. Look for slicks from the Lydian Channel and cast downwind of them. In Port O'Connor, reefs around Ayers Dugout, Panther Point have been good on bass assassins. Sand and grass pockets are holding good trout on the incoming tide. Trout action around the passes like Cole Pass, San Luis Pass, Pascaval has been good. Our surf has been flat and fishable at times. It's been bumpy at times as well. You just got to really catch it right. But it's been holding green pretty good, so it's given us a chance to get out there and work that first and second gut. In Palacios, the shorelines are holding trout over sand and grass. The north shorelines have been good around the barge and Coon Island. Reefs in San Antonio Bay have been good on bass and sea shad, and the topwater bites been good on mirror she dogs and the pink bone and chartreuse. Same patterns hold on the south shoreline of West Matagorda Bay. Reefs and sand and grass pockets are holding trout on that incoming tide. There's a photo. East Matagorda Bay trout was duped while drifting over shell 5 to 6 foot of water. Plum bass assassins have been best. We gently released that fish back to the fertile water. There's been a lot of big trout coming out of East Matagorda Bay right now. Redfish action. People love to catch redfish, but staying on that good pattern. It's tough in July because our tides are about a foot and a half low. And so a lot of people are really hanging out in the jetty in that deep water structure. Matagorda, most of those boaters, they're hitting points and structures along the south shoreline with live shrimp. Others are finding redfish while they're drifting for trout. In East Bay right now, like I said, our tides are a foot and a half, sometimes 2 foot below normal, and those redfish are coming off the shorelines because they have to because there's no water left on them. And we're drifting. While we're drifting for trout out there, we're catching big reds. They're schooling up. You catch one day, they'll disappear, then you'll show back up. Everybody will be on the boat will be hooked up. Then the bull reds are all over the beaches and jetties. Recent comp conditions has those anglers, surf anglers, right on the beach. Guys are tossing big chunks of crab and mullet in the first gut, while jetty anglers are working that ocean side on the incoming tide and the channel side on the outgoing tide. Our Gulf shrimp season is open up June the 15th. There's a lot of big white shrimp on the beach right now, so those have been really good redfish baits. Offshore, guide Michael Quebeca, he's been getting after the swordfish about 80 miles out. The weather's made it conducive for that. He took a 375-pound sword last week. He said he hooked the fish about 1 o'clock, and it took him till 11 to finally boat the fish. The best bite had come over rocks and cliffs at about 1,300 foot of water. Red snapper action continues to impress. Cobia are beginning to show more frequently, as are kingfish. And those kingfish will be behind those shrimp boats when they get rigged up July 15th and start dragging again. So that's another great week in the Middle Coast. Please make a conscious effort to protect our fragile speckled trout fishery. Conservation takes all of us to deny ourselves. That's what's doing what's best for our fishery. Thanks to all the anglers who are releasing more than they take. Attitudes are changing around here. People are trying to do the right thing, and our fishery is improving because of it.
Yeah, I'm so proud of the Texans for doing that, bud. You guys are taking a stand and going ahead and talk about conservation first. So awesome. All right, thank you so much, Bink. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the mirror lure hotspots from the Middle Coast region. He says inshore, trout are good while waiting with bass assassins in the guts and the channels with falling tides. Redfish are at the jetties on fresh menhaden and shrimps. And then offshore, hey, red snappers are good offshore in 60 to 80 feet of water.
All right, well, stay with us while the upper fresh region is showing off their daily limits when we return. But first, Dave has some work to do at the workbench for rigs and techniques.
Come on.
Not a whole lot of work.
Looks offshore over there.
We brought a ringer in.
Chad's going to do a lot of the work.
Piece of cake.
We're going to talk
Perfect.
about dolphin and wahoo and tuna.
Lots
trolling.
of fun stuff. Trolling. The season's coming up right now. It's great.
Yeah.
Nice.
Can't wait.
Wahoos and
Brought in the
tunas.
ringer.
Shad knows how to get it done.
Oh my.
Oh my.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio sunglasses. Blue light blocking. Radically clear lenses. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. Fishing for adventure. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
Well, we're here at the Workbench for some rigs and techniques, and Chad Kinney from Bam Bam Charters down in Port Mansfield, he spends a lot of time offshore, and I have too in the past. So we're going to talk a little bit about trolling offshore, some regular tips. And the first one that I came up with was trying to start in a good spot, get a good report from a good service or a good friend of yours.
Yeah.
So when you're doing that, how far out do you guys having to start the trolling out of Texas?
You know, it depends where you're coming from. Where we're at, we're kind of closest to the 100-fathom curve out of Port Mansfield. So it depends what you're targeting. You're really starting about 30 miles out, out to the canyon and better. Depends what you're looking at if you're looking for billfish. But the blackfin, the tuna, the wahoo, the dorado, pretty much a rule of thumb, 150 foot and deeper, 25, 30 miles out, you can catch them. Depends where that blue water's at.
I got you. Well, when we're out there fishing for tunas, one thing that we have to remember is tunas are very size-specific feeders.
Right.
Like if we're out there and we're seeing them eat and we can't really see what they're eating, well, the first thing we need to do is start bringing our stuff down. Because if we come trolling through a big school of tuna fish with a big bait like this that's made to catch a dolphin or something, we're probably not going to get a bite.
Right.
You know, we probably want to try to get a little, use something smaller, trying to get down to where the tunas can eat it. The tunas really like small stuff.
Especially some time of day too. They like feeding in the morning, and they'll keep on that bait until that bait ball starts moving down. Once that bait ball gets really down deep, usually around 10 or 11 o'clock, then it's kind of too deep to get them unless you start vertical jigging.
Right. Now another species that we want to really catch is the wahoo.
Yep, love wahoo.
He's so good to eat. That's why we want to catch him. And
Yep.
plus he's a lot of fun to catch. Now, do you do a lot of the high-speed trolling out there, or do you go the other route?
We do both. If I'm on structure, I like pulling 3 lines, and we'll pull, of course, with a wire leader. We Islanders with a wire leader. You can put them on a planer down there, but we'll troll 3 lines so we can get over that structure faster.
Mm-hmm.
If we're moving from a spot, say we're going from 30 miles out, we said, you know what, guys, we're going to the floater rig at Perdita. We're going to go another 80 miles out. We were talking about just a while ago. We'll go that R&R tackle, that wahoo magnet. I'll put it on an 80 wide Penn International or 130.
Right.
And we'll send it all the way back, probably 100 yards back or better, and we'll pull the boat back from 23 knots to about 18 and pull that bait, and you're covering 80 miles of territory. Normally we pick up 2, 3, 4, 5 fish right through there.
Yeah, and also you notice this thing's got a nice bunch of braided steel on here.
Yeah,
when you're fishing for wahoos, you got to have either braided cable or a single strand wire, and don't go under 9. I think this is a 9, a number 9 wire with a 8/0 hook in it. You wouldn't want to go much lower than that if you're targeting wahoos.
You don't want to, especially if you do, get hammered, you get a bite. Make sure you check this wire. You'll get it kinked up, and it'll get into there. And if it gets kinked and you get a second pop, it's going to snap. So you got to check it out and re-rig. And we were talking about earlier, have plenty of baits pre-rigged. Get the Islander lures with your ballyhoo. Have 10, 15 of them ready to go in case you're getting a good weed line or a good bite or a spot. You can keep on changing those baits out fast. You're not going to be rigging as you're going.
Right. This is one of my rules of thumb. If it's a dolphin or a tuna fish, we turn and try to get to the fish quickly. If it's a wahoo, we keep going straight.
You got to keep that tight because you got to keep that line tight on those guys. They're really fast. They'll wear their mouth out pretty good on that stuff.
Yeah.
So you got to keep that line tight.
They have such a really hard mouth that what happens is, and they can accelerate so quickly, is you can be driving along, and if you even slow the boat down and they don't slow down, they can keep going fast and the hook just gets loose.
It goes right on out.
And if it gets loose in that hard mouth, it's coming out.
That and keep an eye on your baits. I'm sure people see them. But you're watching your baits, you might not even hear the knockdown or anything else, but you're going to see that thing skyrocket through there, and you'll know if he catches it on the way up or down or not.
That's right. I always tell people, if anybody sees anything back there, is keep your eyes on your baits. Because if you're looking at the bait, you'll see it when the fish eats it.
Yeah.
And if you see it when the fish eats it, our chance of catching him goes way up.
On wahoo too, another little trick which is great. They love short striking that stuff. So you can put a double hook rig in, or you can get a longer shank eagle claw hook, so you get a little bit farther back in that ballyhoo. But put your drag a little bit looser, and when you see that line snap or pop off a planer or off your flat line, dump it back real quick and let him fall up, and he'll come back and eat it, and then you'll get a better hook set.
I like to put little stingers
on the back.
A little stinger rig on mine, a little treble hook, number 4 or number 5 treble hook. Put it on some number 10 wire from the bend of the shank of the first hook, so it's out there floating around by his tail, and he gets that wahoo gets up there and gets all tangled up in that little hook, and that little hook will bring in a great big wahoo, believe it or not.
There's some big ones out there.
Well, man, and we still had some more stuff, but I guess we got to go.
We got
burned
one
up
more
our
time
5
left.
minutes.
The meeting of the minds over here. I love it. Love all the tips too.
Can we get another half hour for this show?
We could.
Please.
Holy cow. Good
Encore.
stuff.
All right, we're setting you up for a productive weekend in the Upper Fresh region on Ray Hubbard, Tawakoni, Possum Kingdom, Athens, Levon, and of course, Lake Fork with Mike McFarland. Put us on some fish, Mike.
Hey, Brie. Hey, guys. Yeah, I love that wahoo. That was really cool. That's my favorite fish to eat. Let's talk about largemouth bass up here in the Upper Fresh region. Ray Hubbard. Joe Shipley says the bass still good there. Bite is 8 to 15 foot on rocky points and brush piles, using a shaky head rigged with trick worms and green pumpkin, or a Texas rig style with a 10-inch worm in plum or plum apple. Lake Possum Kingdom with my friend and guide Pete Hernandez. He said the topwater bite there early before daybreak on the green dock lights is really still producing some very big fish and giant bags of 5-fish stringers. After the sun's up, the ledges and the rock piles near the docks and the points 15 to 25 feet, that's where the fish kind of tend to go to. So big worms, 10 to 12-inch worms, Texas rig style, and 3/4 to 1 ounce jigs on that same type structure. Matt Cartwright, bass fishing on Tawakoni, still a good topwater bite there. The Berkeley El Chapo, used in the backwaters around shallow lily pads and vegetation, is working good. Once the sun gets up high there, get to the docks, rocks, and submerged trees. Texas rig soft plastic worms and creature baits in the color June bug is your best bet. Lake Athens with Jay Bonner. Water temp 88 degrees. The bass are schooling early mornings. Berkeley top waters like the Berkeley Bullet Pop in white or chartreuse shad are your best colors. You can also use hair jigs and flutter spoons for those fish, kind of yo-yo it through the schooling fish as they come to the surface and go back down. And then once the day heats up, target those brush piles, points outside grass lines and humps with Texas rigged soft plastic worms and creature baits. Lake Levon with Carrie Thorne. Bass are eating chrome and red rattle traps along the dam. They're still doing that like last week, but it's just an early morning thing. You can also catch some big fish there with big swim baits used around deep rock piles and underwater drop-offs in 12 to 20 feet. Carolina rigs are working too. The Bass Assassin creature baits on flats and main lake points in 10 to 25 feet. And then night fishing starting to really pick up on Lake Levon with Texas rigged soft plastic worms. Look for the lights. A lot of the boat ramps there have lights. My favorite lake where I guide, Lake Fork. Man, Lake Fork's been hit and miss this year. but the bass are being caught on deep structure and long points with submerged timber. Large flutter spoons, big soft plastic worms, those are your best baits. I'm preferring to use the Bass Assassin 11-inch assassin worm, Texas rig style, and the Bass Assassin 7.5-inch tap-out worm on a 5/16-ounce shaky head. I really like my Abu Garcia 7'3", 1225-pound Veritas rod paired up with a high-speed 9-1 gear ratio. That's the Abu Garcia Revo SX Rocket. I use nothing less than 20-pound tests because these big fish have a lot of trees, and it's a big challenge to pull them out of the timber. But then again, those worms, our best colors are plum apple, watermelon candy, and chartreuse pumpkin. Late afternoon, by the way, is the best bite, and I use a 20-minute rule. If you pull on a spot and you're not bit within 20 minutes, move on. If you get bit, restart the clock. But here's a recent picture of the big bass, type of bass we're catching.
Nice fish there, bud.
I'll take it.
All right, keep going, man. Levon, we got to go.
Cherry Thorn says crappie are still doing the same thing as last week, 12 to 14 feet. Some of the fish are on the bottom in 20 feet, 1/16-ounce hand-tied jigs. Jackie Wiggins on fork. He says the fork's bite is still hot offshore, 18 to 28 feet. They're seeing some white crappie suspended in the upper part of the timber, and the black crappie are down below. Again, your live minnows are your best bet. And here's Jackie Wiggins with some great day's catch.
Nice. That's it? You're done?
Stripers and white bass. Yes, stripers and white bass on Lake Levon. This white bass are on the main lake points, 10 to 20 feet. Bounce a white chartreuse slab off the bottom, and Carrie says if you'll tie a marabou jig about 18 inches above it, you can catch 2 fish at once. Watch for some topwater there, the Berkeley Jaywalker or the Berkeley Bullet Pop. And then Lake Tawakoni with Matt Cartwright. The bass, white bass, and hybrids and stripers are on fire there. They're catching the limits of fish in less than 10 to 15 minutes every morning on the live shad. So check out Tawakoni for that incredible fishing. And here's Matt Cartwright with some of those fish.
Man, he did good. Well, you blew through your report. You pulled a trick on us. So let me ask you, you're coming down here in a couple weeks to go fishing. What do you want to catch when you come, Mike?
Well, I'm looking forward to whatever it is you want to show me, Captain. I know we fished with you for a day and your son Ridge for a day, and that's going to be just a joy just to be with you. And then I have 2 other extra days where I'm going to go peacock bass fishing. That'll be a first time for me, a bucket list. I can't wait to see you all. I can't wait to get to Florida, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. So is Brooke.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the upper fresh hot spots from Mike's region. He says Lake Tawakoni hybrids and stripers are fine. Daily limits are being caught in merely just minutes. White bass are running on the deeper points. Largemouth bass fishing continues to be good in the backwaters. The Capt fishing remains excellent on deep pumps and amongst the submerged timber.
All right, Rick. Well, as you know, the topic of shark depredation has been a major focus in fisheries management circles for a number of years. CCA has actually partnered with organizations to endorse legislation that calls for the establishment of a task force on shark depredation that would be responsible for improving coordination and communication across the fisheries management community, as well as identifying research priorities and funding opportunities. Head to ccaflorida.org/SharkedAct to find the Sharked Act letter to send to Congress to support this cause.
That's
pretty
right.
important.
We got sharks everywhere.
We do have
Florida,
sharks everywhere.
Everywhere.
They're
Doesn't
everywhere.
matter.
All right, the front runner boats, upper coast and lower fresh regions are coming up next with some lip-ripping reports, so stay with us and make sure to take a look at the QR code on our screen and scan away for an all-access pass to our social media outlets where you can like and follow our Instagram and Facebook pages and to see all new fishing adventures, tips, and reports. If you missed your region or need some rigging refreshers, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy. We'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. Tin Cup, Mountain Whiskey. Shallow Sport, the Texas legend. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. And Penn, let the battle begin.
All right, well, Rick, we've all grown to know and love Bahio sunglasses, and not just for their good looks and performance. So let's find out why they've made such a name for themselves in the fishing industry, shall we?
You know, sometimes we forget that America was once a band of ragtag revolutionaries fighting the mightiest army in the world, the Redcoats. We were severely outgunned, but we survived, and we won. Not because we were the biggest, but because we had an intense passion for independence on our side. It was our secret weapon. As a small American business, we at Bahio have the same independent spirit. While our competitors are wealthy foreign giants with unlimited power and resources, we are small and of modest means. On paper, there's no way we should be winning, but we are. Why? We're winning for many of the same reasons America won so long ago. We won because we had this spirit of independence, this desire to be free. Our independence gives us freedom to operate the way we believe is best for customers, for us, for our employees, and for the planet. It's the freedom to keep tweaking a new product until it's perfect, no matter how long it takes. To operate sustainably, even if it costs more to do so. It's the freedom to stay on the phone as long as it takes to get a customer's
Thanks for calling Bahio. This is Eric. How can we help you today?
It's the freedom to travel the country in a short bus making funky fishing films, even if we have to replace the transmission a few times along the way.
Oh, man.
And it's the freedom to invest our time and our resources in things that matter, like cleaning a beach, planting a coral, or building fishing trails in the middle of nowhere. Our independence gives us the freedom to do what's right, no matter what. In the end, independence is probably the most American of all virtues. It's freedom, it's self-reliance, it's accountability, it's passion. It's the foundation upon which great countries and great companies are built. Thank you for supporting Bahio. Thanks for supporting us, guys.
You know, another secret weapon that Bahio has is the blue light technology, being able to remove 22% of the glare because of how we're removing the blue light from the sun's glare.
Yep.
That's more than any other color that the sun makes.
And you can definitely tell a difference between other products and Bahio's. All right, whether you're inshore or offshore in the Frontrunner Boats Upper Coast region, you're guaranteed a good time, especially if you're following Captain Carl Weston's instructions. Get us out there, Carl.
Hey guys, let's talk about redfish a little bit. You know, it's really hot outside. That's no news to anyone, but I don't know if anything can compete with this redfish bite right now. It's probably some of the best I've ever seen. You know, these fish are coming from Louisiana, pushing all the way west here to Galveston, Trinity Bay. The bite is just crazy. These schools of spot reds are pushing bait all the way out to the surf. Over on the oyster reefs, you'll find them chasing bait along the grassy shorelines. I don't know where they're not chasing bait, but when you see these reds tailing in the grass, this is something that's really amazing to see, and this will become the highlight of your day. You know, throwing a mirror Mirrodine in shad or white color is definitely going to trigger some crazy action right now. And if the heat's killing you, I've got a picture today of Miss Cindy, who outsmarted the heat and all of us and saved some money on sunscreen with her red here she caught at night. Very smart, very smart.
You go,
You're
girl.
absolutely right.
Bumping over to trout. What can I say? The size is getting bigger. The fish, see some beautiful, beautiful fish being caught over in Sabine Pass. Large schools of shad are gathering out front along the jetties. All the way in, like I just said about the reds, the oyster reefs, the inshore grass lines along the shore. Keep an eye out for these big oil slicks early in the morning too, folks. Right along the jetties. Watch the pelicans diving on these bait fish, and it's going to take you right to the schools. The seagulls also. You know, see what happens when you check these out, because I'm telling you, you're going to find bigger trout right here chasing these big live shad. And when you're targeting trout, the bigger ones, try that live shad. Get you a cast net, catch you some bait. Finger mullet on a popping cork is also great for these bigger fish. If artificial lures is your thing, you know, you can always go to the Shop 090 and the 110 in bone. You cannot beat it. I have a picture today of Mr. Matt with a big old pile of trout on the cleaning table.
Nice.
So they're there. Go get them, guys. Rig bouncing offshore. We're going to stay with red snapper because it's a really hot bite also. You want to get out there and get you some good fish in a box. Red snapper is you know, about halfway through the season now. But, hey, we're having some great weather windows coming up. There's a prime opportunity to head offshore and bring home some of that amazing fish. We're catching our limits in a very short period of time in some spots in the box field. Most bottom structure in your area, guys, is going to hold some red snapper. Larger fish are still out in 100-plus foot of water. That doesn't mean you won't catch nice snapper in 50 foot of water, because they're there too. Find yourself in these fish. Remember, upsize your bait for bigger. The method you should keep, if you cull through some of the fish, you can release these fish, live release. In 50 foot of water, it makes it real easy. I use a 6/0 trocar hook, about 3 foot of diamond mamoy, 50-pound leader, with an 8-ounce egg sinker. Allows you to catch the fish and still fight, have a nice fight. You can feel them well with that smaller weight. I got a picture of myself and our brother-in-law Charlie with a nice snapper we caught last week. And if you look close, something took a bite of him before we did, but we won out because we ate the whole fish.
Nice.
So,
Rub some MAN on it.
That's it.
yeah. So let's talk also, sticking with the snapper theme, let's go with the lane snapper. Lane snapper is a smaller cousin of the red. They're beautiful fish. They display a distinctive horizontal set of yellow lines, which makes them very easy to separate from the red snapper. They're also a lot smaller. But we predominantly catch these fish in structure that consists of like old road pipes, reef balls, trash piles. They seem to hang out there. They take cover in the structure. And you won't run into these as often as you do red snapper, but if you happen to land one, don't stop there. I'm going to tell you, downsize that hook. Tip it with some fish bites so you get more than one strike. And you'll keep that momentum going, and you will have a great day on these beautiful little fish. Speaking of beautiful, here's my wife with a little lane snapper from last week.
Aww, that's such a beautiful picture. Oh, what happened to the hair? It's not blonde anymore.
It's still blonde enough. She looks beautiful. Let's go.
All right. I know I'm in trouble with that, so we'll go ahead and say goodbye, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Upper Coast hotspots inshore. Redfish in the grassy shorelines and in the surf, throwing mirror lure, mirodines in the shad color, and then if you want to go offshore, try red snappers in 50 feet of water using a slip rig with a 6/0 trocar hook, diamond mamoy leader, and 8-ounce egg sinker, Brie.
Rick, it's called an ombre look.
What is it called?
Ombre. It goes from dark to light, and it's in style.
It's,
you wouldn't know about.
It's called Telly Savalas look.
Okay.
You don't even know who that is.
I don't, but put your head back on. Okay, if you're in the Lower Fresh region fishing on Choke Canyon, Lake Falcon, Travis, Bastrop, or Buchanan, you might want to pay special attention to Matt Reed, who's putting you on the big ones.
Yul Brynner, maybe?
All right, y'all, let's talk a little fishing. All right, let's talk about the bass in the South Texas region. Mike Bates sent a report from Choke Canyon. Numbers this week have been really good. They're mostly in the 2 to 3 pound class. Catching an occasional big one still mixed in. Lake level continues to drop. It's hot down here. The evaporation now, it'll take out several inches a week. Sometimes it's a couple of inches a day. Grass is still growing. There's enough water in it to hold the bass. He says, bring your patience. So those shallow fish are being real picky right now. Top waters, frogs, swim baits, and chatterbaits have been the best bite up there shallow. The offshore bites slowed down out in that 10 to 20 feet of water. The one thing about it, though, when you get a bite now, it's a big one. So you be real patient. Get your Texas rigs or Carolina rigs out. Cover lots of spots, but be sure that when you get a bite, you catch him, because there's a good chance it's going to be a big one. My babies down here at Falcon have been a little bit contrary the last few days. You want to concentrate your efforts on the main lake rock structures in that 10 to 20 feet of water. I've caught them this week on just many different varieties of soft plastic presentation, from your basic Texas rig big worms to football jigs, Carolina rigs, drop shots, and shaky heads. Just choose your favorite technique and be patient. I promise you will be rewarded with a big one. Brian Cotter sent a report from Lake Travis and several other lakes around the Austin area. On Travis, it's fishing really well. The fish are schooling early in the mornings in the deep marinas and deep coves. Get your top waters, jerk baits, and real small swim baits to throw at those surfacing fish. Lots of numbers being caught. Most of them are in the 1.5 to 3 pound range, and an occasional bigger one shows up. Your best shot at a big fish is to get your Texas rig plastics and fish the bluffs, the cliffs, and the fish are about 10 feet out from the edge of the cliff on the bottom. The biggest key, though, is that they're really not very aggressive, so you want to dead stick that plastic. You don't want to move it hardly at all. Just let it lay there for as long as your patience will let you. Watch your line, because that'll be the biggest key to getting that bite, just knowing when you have that bite. It's caught several fish in the 4 to 6 pound class doing that. Bass Trout's been fishing good for schooling bass. Early in the morning, they're in the discharge, and later you want to move out to the main lake. Just watch the surface for where they're busting. Look for birds or any type of bait fish activity. Small top waters and jerk baits will get them when they're on the top. When they go down, you want to throw a little swim bait under a jig head, let it fall to them, and just slow reel it through them. If you have the urge to catch you a shallow water fish, there's still some fish biting frogs and service baits over the hydrilla up shallow. Not many bites that way, but some of them are good ones. Lake Buchanan and largemouth are hanging around the rock piles at 10 to 15 feet. Throwing deep crankbaits, Texas rig soft plastics, and jigs are your best chance to get those to bite. Also a frog bite early up against the bulkheads and around any type of visible shallow structure. Got a few pictures of bass here. We got a picture from Choke Canyon, one of Mike Bates' clients, with a big old Choke Canyon fish. It's always fun to see those. Then we got a picture of myself with a little old Falcon Lake chunk. And that third picture is always one of my favorite kind. You get young people in the boat. That's 16-year-old Reed Willis with a Falcon Lake smile on his face.
Yeah, he looked nice. All right, tell us about the white bass and the hybrids, Bob.
Lake Buchanan is doing great for schooling whites, hybrid stripers and stripers. Just throw you a jaywalker or a shallow running crankbait or a swim bait around these schooling fish where they're blowing on top, and you can catch them all day long right now. That's kind of a common theme. The Falcon Lake white bass have just been going crazy at the gates but the dam. The discharge current has them positioned, and they're surface schooling all day long. Any small shad imitation will get you bit nearly every cast. Literally hundreds are being caught in short order. Gather up the kids and come on down and have a blast. You can't have any more fun than having kids catch a fish every throw.
So true.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your report this week, Matt. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the lower fresh region. Matt says that Falcon Lake white bass are going crazy at the gates on the dam. They are surface schooling all day long. Any small shad imitation will get you bit nearly every cast. Literally hundreds can be caught in short order. Gather up the kids and come down and have a blast. What do you think, Brie? Let's go.
It's so true. When the kids catch fish, you just can't help but have a big old smile on your face, no matter how big the fish is. It's still fun.
What's Leo called a fish?
A shashish.
A shashish.
It's catfish in 2-year-old talk. All right, the lower coast region has given us the ins and outs of offshore and inshore life. Plus, Dave is living his best Taco Marine new product life at the Workbench.
I am. I'm living my best life.
You are.
We're going to talk about these brand new Fenwick, Eagle Claw. They're going to be beautiful. Fenwick prototypes.
You're beautiful.
Yeah, they are beautiful.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Abu Garcia, Fish to Win. Fenwick, feel everything. Diamond Fishing Products, our reputation is on the line. Island Lures, tournament tackle. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Miro lure. Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. And Startron, start, run, and store with Startron.
Today's PowerPole tip is about the new PowerPole Charge power management station. The cool thing about the Charge is it replaces 3 systems on your boat. It replaces your traditional 3 or 4 bank battery charger, so when you're at the house, you plug it into the wall. The PowerPole Charge is going to optimize and balance your batteries like nothing ever out there. It also replaces your on-the-run charger, so anytime you've got the Yamaha running, it's going to replace the power in your trolling motor batteries and your cranking batteries all day while you're running from spot to spot. And the third thing it does, it's got an emergency start feature in it. So if you're ever out there and your cranking battery dies and you can't get the motor started, go to the Sea Monster app, transfer the power, and you're good to go. Get back to the dock. For any more information about the PowerPole Charge, you can go to powerpole.com or stop by one of your local dealers. That's your PowerPole tip.
Well, as you can see, we're at the Workbench, and it is time for Taco Marine's Troll the Edge new products. So, Dave, let's just jump right in.
Well, it's not very often that we get to show a new product that's really, really new. I mean, this isn't even out into the public yet. You know, so these are really new. The Fenwick world-class inshore rods, the top-of-the-line Fenwick rods now. They are in a class by themselves. They're just really, really nice. They got the 40 and 36-ton graphite blend with a proprietary reinforced resin inside of them that makes them incredibly sensitive and really light and strong, which is
super strong,
which is what you want. You know, they're almost indestructible. I'm sure that we could figure out a way to destroy it, but
destruct.
You know, they're really, really tough and really light and sensitive, which is what we all want. They got these really cool tailored foregrips now, the titanium guide frames, all top-of-the-line stuff, super thin zirconia inserts, which is some of the hardest material in the world, and Fenwick redesigned all the reel seats and everything, contoured butts for more comfort. Just everything fits really nice in your hands. When you pick them up and you start fishing with them, you'll feel it. How nice the cork and everything fits in with the reel seat and all that. It's just really nice stuff.
So what I did, Dave, is I brought in, this was the rod that they introduced last year at ICAST, the Elite Inshore Series by Fenwick. And guess what? Already it's obsolete, because as soon as they introduced this, while they were selling this, they sent me these prototypes. And this, as you talked about, the new material. I've been fishing these for a year now, and even though what you're seeing here, the cork links is probably not going to be the finished product, but for over a year we have been testing these, and it's unbelievable how strong they are. So if you were to go to ICAST or next week after ICAST, we'll probably have some finished products. They might not have this reel seat, they might not have this cork design, I don't know. Again, these are prototypes, but that's what's so cool about Fenwick is that they send stuff out to their pros to test and have us beat the hell out of it.
That's how you find out if it's good or not.
Absolutely.
So anyway, you can go check them all out at fenwickfishing.com. Next, we have the AFTCO deck sandal. This is great for anglers who are seeking some durability and comfort at the same time. They have a nice little fake leather upper there, recycled polyester cushion on the back of, for real, it's real soft and comfortable. A nice padding there. It's got an ultra comfortable footbed, and it's textured so you don't slide around on it. Even if you come loose out of here, you're not sliding on that surface. It's really nice and textured. You got a non-marking sole with an excellent non-slip grip, which you got to have if it's going to be a deck sandal. So go to aftco.com and get you some of those.
So we talked about StarTron a couple weeks ago. This week we're featuring the StarTron
fuel treatment.
Okay.
They have a system to keep your engine running all during the season, from the start to the run to the store. And this is the run product, the little blue bottle there, the enzyme fuel treatment. It improves fuel economy and reduces emissions. It eliminates soot and any of the stains that are involved with that. Removes carbon buildup, stabilizes gas. It cures anything that you have to do with ethanol gas. It stabilizes the gas and everything. 1 ounce treats 16 gallons, and that little bottle treats 128 gallons. And go to starbright.com to get the StarTron enzyme fuel treatment.
So Eagle Claw took the liberty to create a shark leader.
Right. Well, mainly because, you want to, if you're catching these great big sharks, they get wore out easily. We want to let them go easily. We don't want them to swim away with a bunch of stuff in their face. So we got a nice 12-foot long camel brown wire rig with a nice big fat crane swivel in there. It's great for safe release because it's got a big 20-aught circle hook. It'll catch right in the corner of the jaw. Even if you want to, if you don't want to get that hook back, you can cut it off and let him swim away with that hook. It's going to be in the corner of his jaw. It's not going to hurt him. Yeah, you can cut that nice wire there and it'll swim away. And so EagleClaw.com.
And all Eagle Claw products made in America, guys.
There you go.
Don't forget that.
Made in
EagleClaw.com to get your shark rig.
All right. Well, the trout bite is picked up in the lower coast region, but offshore we're having fun with red snapper and blackfin tuna along with some billfish action. So, Captain Chad, we're definitely going to need some guidance, and I'm glad you're right here to give that to us.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
Also,
ready
nice AFCO sandals, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I've been having them for a couple weeks. I ordered them. They're great.
Same ones as at the Workbench.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's get to your report.
All right. Tell you what, we're going to go on the inshore, the trout fishing. We've been talking about it on the lower coast. It's been really, really good. They've been holding that deeper water, like the ICW, all up and down from South Padre through Mansfield up into the land cut. It's been an early bite up there too. So we're going to talk about the trout. Like I said, it's been really steady. We've been talking about it. They've been in that deeper water. I think that's due to the high temps we've been having, and a lot of wind, a lot of floating grass. So find some areas along that ICW where you know there's some grass beds right on the edge and right off the drop off there. So power pole down there, where you might be like in 2 feet of water, casting into 13 feet right there. So live croaker is working the best right now. You can rig that up with a chatterweight if you want to. And right now we're switching. We used 5-aughts earlier in the Eagle Claw. We're moving to 6 and 7-aught. And the reason like this is the bait's getting bigger, which is good. And that hook will help it sink a little bit better, and you get a better gap on that for that trout. Remember on the trout, they always eat it head first on that stuff. So when you hook it back towards the end on the tail, they're going to bump it a few times. So what you got to do is kind of really lean towards them. Let them take it a bit and set the hook, and then work them in from there. Like I mentioned, the early bite's really, really good, especially if you get some windier days. Get out there real early and take plenty of bait also, because there's a lot of fish in that 15, 16, 16.5 inch range. So if you're looking for those slot fish in that 17 and 23 inch, you're going to go through quite a bit of bait, which is a lot of fun and action. But in order to get some fish for the box, you got to bring some extra bait with you. We're going to move to offshore right now. Snapper fishing's been really excellent this year. It always has been out of Mansfield, but state and federal has been really, really good. There's some billfish action out deeper past the 100 fathom curve. And blackfin tuna, like we talked about, this is coming up right now behind the shrimp boats. Shrimp boats start showing up here July 15th. That's when they can legally start pulling. So that's going to be happening real quick, and there's some wahoo out there also. So talking about that snapper, like I said, it's been really excellent and good out in the federal waters. You can use some vertical jigging to have a lot of fun like that. You can go to a double drop rig if you've got a higher current or want to get down to the bottom. Pretty much find any structure out there. 100, 130, 200 feet of water is really, really good for some of the bigger snapper. Take advantage of the federal water season while it's still open. So basically what a lot of guys do, especially myself, we do some trolling early, try to get that bite going for wahoo or tuna or anything else like that. But then you got a guaranteed stop on your way home, probably get a lot of action for some snapper, make a few drifts and put the hammer down on the red snapper and put some meat home in the box on the way back. Talking about that blackfin tuna, like I said, they're going to start really showing up and congregate behind those shrimp boats out deeper. Rule of thumb, kind of 150 foot or deeper. The deeper the better, in my opinion. If you can find them at 200, 250, works really good. This opens up July 15th. They're going to start working that for all their shrimp in the bycatch. Those blackfin tuna feed off that bycatch right there. So sometimes it takes a few days for the shrimpers to find the bait and then the fish to find the shrimper. But when you do it, you'll find out where they're at, and you're going to really get on them. You can also pick up some wahoo, work in these same areas. So get your favorite Islander lures out there, put a 3-line spread out. That makes faster turns around these boats. You can maneuver a lot better. You can get up closer to the boat, put your riggers up, get by their stabilizers out there. You'll find out where the fish are hanging on, because they're going to wait for that net to be coming up. And if you're looking for the wahoo, then make sure you're rigging with some wire, so you don't get cut off on those guys. And you can do some trolling like this, like I mentioned, and hit the snapper on the way home. Got a picture here of Chad Bishop. He was fishing out of Port Mansfield there, and you can see he had 2 wahoo there. He had 2 more in the box, and he's got a limited snapper on the way home. Moving over to billfish, this season's heating up with the billfish. It's just starting to get out there. Head up past the 100 fathom curve. Look for some bait balls on your sounder, or look for flying fish, or get a color change or a rip. Pull a full spread when you're doing this one. Get some mid-range lures out there, some Islanders rigged with ballyhoo. Keep a good eye out. If you need to drop a pitch bait back or not, if you see one come up in the teasers, pitch it back with a ballyhoo on there, get that billfish going there. I had some good reports of some white marlin out of South Padre Island, some sailfish around the canyon, and you got to put some long days in to get some bites in these guys. But white sail, or hopefully you get the slam. I got a picture here of Daniel Bryant off the Pocahontas. They went 2 for 3 on the blue marlin.
Wow. Look at that.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for being here, Chad. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Excellent.
And we are going to go ahead and take a look at the shallow sport boats hot spots from the lower coast region inshore. The ICW is still holding trout in the lower coast region with live bait working the best. And then snapper fishing offshore is excellent, and the billfish out deeper past 100 fathom curve.
Well, Chad, we're happy you're here. It's been a while.
I'll be happier in a second.
He said that's well, you know what?
Design the tin cup.
Rick did miss my birthday show,
Oh,
so I
there
think
we go.
should
There's
break
the
out
excuse
some
we've been looking for, Chadwick.
whiskey.
It's only 6 days past. There you go. 6 shots.
Listen, we celebrate for a whole week, and I didn't happen to celebrate the week before, but now the week after, so maybe it's 2 weeks.
You don't have to
never
twist
know.
anybody's arm.
No, we never do. We never do. So, Chad, you've been offshore lately. Have you had any fun stories to tell us while we've passed some tin cup around?
It's always fun no matter what. If you're on the water and you can't have fun, there's something wrong with you. So
Correct.
You know what? You're absolutely right. My son just reeled in his first fish, and he was so excited. Everyone was screaming on the boat, and I couldn't believe just the excitement one little fish could bring an entire boat of people.
Oh, yeah.
I'm experiencing this for the first time. I'm sure as captains, you experience it all the time.
That's what it's all about.
Hey,
Anyway,
but you're learning about
happy?
boys and mama's relationships.
I love my boy. All right. Cheers,
Mama's
everybody.
boys.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week. Let's go. Woo.
God, this is the smart one.